Hello. I've posted several videos this month on the astrology of March 2023. And in this brief video, I just want to wrap everything up and give my conclusions. So let's see if I can share my screen here. And I just need to hide a few panels so that I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And now we're ready for final thoughts on the astrology of March 2023. I talked about how there might be a lot of tension in the middle of this month, but fortunately, the month is probably going to end on a high note. So I call this first the best day of the month, March 28th. Actually, it's not a day, it's more a period of about a week, from roughly March 28th through April 6th, when we're going to have several planets making a very nice kite formation, shown here in green, and this creates a lot of harmony. This particular kite formation, it involves nodes in addition to some of the planets. And by April 3rd, Mercury will have joined that kite formation. However, it's also going to be making a very strong square to transiting Pluto. That could create a little bit of a problem, but since Pluto has moved at this point from Capricorn into 0+ degrees Aquarius, it might not be so bad. With Mercury and Taurus, this could represent a conflict between individual viewpoints, the views of certain vocal individuals, and disagreement between them and some body of people in power. Typically not just an individual here, but a group, since Pluto has moved into Aquarius. Well, whatever happens, let's hope for the best. I think these final days of March will be feeling better than some of the previous days. And so here are my conclusions for the entire month. And you can go back to my previous videos for more details regarding each of these items in my list. Nonetheless, based upon what we see astrologically, I have the following expectations for March 2023 and beyond. First, much of what is happening now is playing out of the January 2020 Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, pandemics and dictators, and the December 2020 Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, which represent a new beginning for freedom, democracy, technology, global cooperation, and collaborative learning. Next, the almost 3-year sojourn of Saturn in Pisces will likely bring about major political changes for both America and Russia. There's a good chance that Russia may collapse again. As for America, I'm hoping that will restore its democracy. Then, the Jupiter-Chiron conjunction in Aries, that will happen on March 11th, will bring something into the world that is both transcendent and enduring, but we may not be aware of it for several years. Also, a mid-March square of Mars and Neptune presents a heightened risk of violence and fanaticism for a few days. That will be followed on March 17th by an opposition of Chiron to natal Saturn in the July 1776 charts that could bring about some wounding for America. And it remains to be seen whether the benefic Jupiter lessens the pain or simply amplifies the wounding. And finally, Pluto's long sojourn through Aquarius will ultimately be beneficial, but its lingering at 0+ degrees Aquarius this year will be a very critical point in history. So, is 2023 the beginning of the age of Aquarius, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, spending 2.5 months this year at 0+ degrees Aquarius, starting next year, spending about 20 to 21 years mostly in Aquarius, Is that the beginning of this age? Well, technically no, because the astrological ages are brought about by a slow rotation of constellations known as the precession of the equinoxes, and not by transits. However, even though no one knows when the age of Aquarius will actually begin, most astrologers feel that we are now on the threshold of it. And Pluto's transit through Aquarius will bring a lot of that Aquarian energy to the forefront. Furthermore, if you live in Alice Springs, Australia, then at the time of the October 29th, 2023 lunar eclipse, notice that the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars. To align means to be in a straight line relationship with. Thus, maybe this could be the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Now, I put in parentheses that this is a joke because not everyone understands when I'm just joking. Okay, finally, here is what I call Doc Benton's Red Yarn Conspiracy Board, which sums up all the conclusions from my past videos for this month. So first, we've had a whole slew of conjunctions at 22 degrees Capricorn in recent years, with the most important being Saturn conjunct Pluto. These conjunctions have brought about or coincided with the global pandemic, Putin wanting to restore the Soviet Union, Putin invading Ukraine, but on the positive side, COVID vaccines being developed. This month, at the beginning of March 2023, we had Saturn semisextile Pluto. That signals that both the pandemic and the war in Ukraine are entering into a new phase. Also, starting on the 7th of March this year, Saturn entered Pisces, where it's going to be co-present with Neptune for about 3 years. That is, in many respects, like a 3-year conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. And then in February of 2026, they will be conjunct in Aries at about 0+ degrees Aries. And based on past history, the history suggests that Russia may collapse again, and America hopefully will restore its democracy. On March 11th, we have Jupiter conjunct Chiron, and again, past history allows us to say with a high level of confidence that something wonderful will happen. And since this conjunction is in Aries, it will probably involve individual spirituality or spiritual warriors of some sort. However, it might be several years before we fully realize what has happened. However, about a week after that, Chiron will be in opposition to natal Saturn and all of the July 1776 charts. And throughout most of the summer, transiting Chiron will make a near conjunction with the US Chiron in those charts. And during those periods, there's a heightened risk of wounding for America. And finally, on March 23rd, Pluto is going to enter Aquarius, where it's just going to sit there at 0+ degrees Aquarius for 2.5 months before retrograding back into Capricorn. And this is going to be very important because in recent years, we have had a series of conjunctions occurring at 0+ degrees Aquarius, with the most important one being the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, which was a mutation conjunction, since this conjunction is finally making that transition from occurring in Earth signs for roughly 200 years to now occurring in air signs for roughly 200 years. All of this activity at the beginning of Aquarius, it corresponds to the global response to COVID, NATO's response to the war in Ukraine, a coming new age of ideas, a new age of invention, and an age of globalism and power to the people. So, While we have been through a lot with Saturn conjunct Pluto, a lot of upheavals in the world caused by this and some other astrological factors, there are some good things on the horizon. The next few years may be a bit difficult for America, even more trying for Russia. And even though the war in Ukraine may be entering a new phase, I'm sure there's still some difficult times ahead. But nonetheless, the prospects look good for America and the world. It looks like democracy will win. People will learn to work together better than they have in the past. And so I'm quite hopeful about the future. Okay, that's my last slide. So let me end my sharing here. And that's it for this series of videos, Astrology of March 2023. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. And I hope to see you again sometime in the future. So long.